There are promises that, when kept for too long, become a destructive burden. Have you ever felt that weight? Today's story, The Whispers of the Silent Lotus Pond, is for those who have felt trapped between an oath and their conscience, between a harsh truth and a deceptive peace. In an ancient forest, where the moonlight shines brighter than anywhere else, a secret lies buried deep beneath a sacred lotus pond. Join me as we explore the journey of the white fox who faced the most agonizing choice of its life. The white fox, its coat as pristine as fresh snow and eyes as deep blue as the ocean, was no ordinary fox. It was the guardian of the Moonlight Lotus Pond, a sacred body of water nestled deep within the ancient forest, where the moon's glow seemed to intensify unlike anywhere else. Many years ago, when the white fox was still a young spirit, it was granted a special favor by the spirit of the Lotus Pond: the ability to hear and understand every voice of nature, the roots delving into the earth, the stream's gentle murmurs, the leaves' whispered tales of the wind. In return, the white fox had to keep a profound secret. Beneath the pond's surface lay an ancient energy gateway, an infinite source of power that had long been sealed, never to be touched, never to be revealed. This promise to the white fox was an honor, a magnificent privilege. It lived peaceful days, feeling life flow around it, believing it was fulfilling a noble duty. But then, the peace began to fade. Unusual signs started to appear, creeping in like a nightmare. The century-old trees, once symbols of vitality, suddenly withered, their branches drooping as if consumed by an invisible illness. The crystal-clear stream flowing from the lotus pond now turned murky, gradually drying up, exposing barren stones. The forest creatures, once gentle and joyful, grew irritable and panicked, their eyes reflecting fear and confusion, as if they were losing their sense of direction, their very instinct for survival. With its keen ears, the white fox began to hear agonized whispers, not from the leaves or the stream, but from the very soul of the forest itself. The choked cries of the earth, the lamentations of the water, and the desperate pleas of the animals. They called out to the Moonlight Lotus Pond, calling out to the energy source that was increasingly spiraling out of control. Every groan, every faint breath of the forest felt like a knife twisting in the white fox's heart, in its very conscience. It realized that the wonderful ability granted by the Lotus Pond spirit was now betraying its promise. The sacred vow of vigilance was now becoming a shackle, binding it to the destruction it was inadvertently complicit in. The white fox was torn. It remembered its oath to the Lotus Pond spirit, remembered the peace that ability had brought. It feared what would happen if it broke its promise. Would it lose its special favor, or worse, be punished by the Lotus Pond spirit? This fear tormented it every night. What should I do? What should I do? The echo in its mind repeated. It began to investigate, delving into the ancient legends of the forest, questioning the oldest creatures. It realized that a promise isn't always absolutely right. Some promises, when made at the wrong time or for the wrong purpose, become an invisible chain, suffocating life itself. One night, a full moon hung heavy and ominous above the Moonlight Lotus Pond, its light no longer shimmering but dull and oppressive. The energy from the gateway beneath the pond suddenly surged violently, creating a tremor that shook the entire forest. Ancient trees toppled, and the terrified cries of all creatures echoed everywhere. The white fox stood on the pond's edge, watching the water churn, its colors shifting strangely, feeling life itself draining away. The forest's pleas were no longer whispers, but a desperate, agonizing scream. In that chaotic moment, the white fox saw the eyes of a young fawn, lost amidst the fallen trees, its gaze filled with ure and supplication. That image suddenly pierced through the white fox's own terror. It realized that a promise to an individual, even a spirit, could not outweigh the survival of an entire community. The promise of silence, now, was no longer protection, but destruction. A light sparked in the white fox's mind. It could not stand by any longer. Despite its fear of punishment, despite the haunting thought of breaking its sacred oath, the white fox rushed towards the lotus pond. It had to speak the truth. It had to break that promise. In a decisive moment, the white fox gathered all its strength, crying out the truth, not just with the call of a fox, but with the voice of its very soul, through the ability it had been granted to understand all things. It revealed the ancient energy gateway, the imbalance that was occurring, and the very promise it had kept for so long. Its voice echoed throughout the forest like a bell awakening. That was the turning point that completely changed the white fox's life. Its fear vanished, replaced by liberation and a powerful sense of responsibility. It was no longer a keeper of secrets, but a bringer of light to the truth. As soon as the white fox spoke the truth, a strange wave of energy emanated from the lotus pond. It was not punishment, but a resonance from the forest itself, as if its ancient heart had finally been heard. The creatures suddenly became more aware. They began to understand the danger and worked together to remedy the situation. Guided by the white fox and the knowledge of the lotus pond it had gathered over many years, the forest animals found a way to regulate the energy from the gateway, bringing it back into balance. The lotus pond became clear again, the stream murmured once more, and the trees began to bud and flourish. The white fox did not lose its ability to hear the voice of nature. On the contrary, that ability seemed even stronger, for now it listened not just with its ears, but with a heart freed from the burden of secrets. It was no longer the lonely white fox, but the guide of truth, trusted and respected by all creatures. It had learned that true honesty is not about blindly keeping a promise, but about having the courage to do what is right, even if it means letting go of a part of oneself. The story of the white fox and the moonlight lotus pond became a reminder in the forest. Truth, though sometimes daunting, is always the guiding light. And trust is built not on unbreakable vows, but on transparency and responsibility towards all. Every full moon, the light reflecting on the moonlight lotus pond, is not just the beauty of nature, but an eternal whisper about the power of truth and courage. It is not a rigid lesson, but a gentle reminder. Sometimes, letting go of a promise is the best way to protect what we truly cherish.